Hello and welcome into the Sorare Data Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined today by Haber.
Hi guys.
It's been a minute.
Hello. I'm back.
Let's go. You're back in many more ways.
Yeah. Like, is my camera freezing for you, by the way? It looks like it's freezing for me.
You look like, I don't know.
Oh, well, who cares?
Nobody's here anyway. Quinny, Lairdinho, it was completely my fault. The way that this works is I send all of the people who I stream with a link. They click the link. And the problem is if you don't send them the link, they can't actually click the link. And so it is.
I blame Lairdinho.
I think you're the one going in and out. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming. Malky, DNP Donkey, and Sorare Strats on the podium. Congratulations, you guys. Rude, Ahmed, Tuggy. Haber, were you mad at Tuggy for something?
No, he's just boring. He's just so boring. His banter is awful.
Oh, okay.
Just it's terrible. I'll tweet out something and he'd be like, "Oh, Ten Hag." Shut up.
He also likes United though.
I know. He's just boring. So.
Okay. Bithorse, Madiador, Stefan, Nixon had a few months break from Sorare because I felt terrible. Now I'm back with a full Man City collection purely for love of the club. Haber, how many people do you know who have loved Man City their whole lives?
One. Literally one.
All right. SR Monkey, what's up? I guess I should say, since now we have 2/3 of the Sorare Ramble, although obviously David's just here in the chat. Go check that out. Carrie, what's up? This should be fun. Apart from the United or back stories. Hatling in United or back. All right.
We are back. We actually are. It's so true.
Ooh. All right. We'll get there. Agent Cooper, I thought this, but now classic rare cards are so cheap, I can't help but enter every classic competition. I know my chances of winning big are unlikely, but I love having 50 lineups hoping one pops off. We'll get into all of that. Overbeck Gaming, hey, isn't that the FIFA guy? How about that, Haber? You're the FIFA guy.
The FIFA guy as well. Like, I thought that was Nep, but that's actually just me, apparently.
Yeah. It's a changing of the guard, if you will.
Not Johnny anymore. Johnny dipped.
GG's Johnny.
R.I.P.
Oh, well. I mean, he's not dead, but like...
No, but like...
Yeah. Anyway. Hey, we're here to talk about how you just crush in season now.
Just the best. What can I say?
So I was listening to is now older episode of the Sorare Ramble yesterday with you and Nep and David, talking all about your strategy change of like selling everything, going in season, keeping your Man United cards. What led you to that for everybody who has not listened to those episodes from back in August? Because you were a very big, like, all-star rare pro player, and then all of the changes were announced. You were not the biggest fan. And so what made you decide, yes, this is a game I want to play? And then why you went in the direction that you did?
Well, I had to sell up a lot of my gallery anyway, for external reasons. Like, I just had to use the money for something else, unfortunately. It's one of those, in life, you just have life stuff. But sure. I had the opportunity to keep a bit more than what I actually kept in, and I decided to try and draw a blank slate, because when the updates happened, it was like January, February time when they got announced, right? And then the transition happened in like March, April.
Yeah,
I think is the right
transition
timeline.
Period, if you will.
So the thing that I've done for the last 3 years of Sorare, and apologies, I know my camera just keeps randomly freezing. I don't have a clue why. It's just as long as you can hear me, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
The last 3 years in Sorare, what I've done consistently is I've spotted something, told myself, okay, this is clearly going to happen, done nothing about it. It's happened, and I have been negatively affected by it. And I'm only sat there after being like, why didn't I just do what I should have done, clearly? Mm-hmm. So the biggest one was when the update happened, I knew I didn't have a strong enough gallery to play in Super Rare. I knew I didn't have a strong enough gallery to play in Rare. So what did I do? I changed nothing and I just winged it. And I really should have been proactive and chose rare or super rare and sold the other half of the gallery and really focused just on that side of things. And I didn't, which is stupid. So this summer, with seeing how sort of classic, I don't think classic's dead, but classic's not what it used to be. And seeing, I basically thought, it's just going to be impossible to win in classic. It's going to be impossible to win in season if Arsenal are smashing and Man City are smashing, Liverpool are smashing. You have a game week where 450 points is getting you like 30th or something. So I decided I'm going to try and build a gallery of the best of the rest. The cards that when those teams don't perform and they perform, they win you podiums, they get you cash. So that's kind of what I decided to do. I decided to look at players that I like, players that I think will perform well week in, week out when they've got those good matchups. That maybe when they're playing against a Man City or something, are going to be absolutely ass. And I have those game weeks where I'm playing against a Man City or a Chelsea or whatever. But when, Man City play Liverpool and Arsenal play Chelsea and, whoever else is good, like those teams play each other, I'm sat there with a great lineup because I've got the best of the rest. So that was kind of my thought process. That, and also I did think Man United to be a bit better than what we were. So I also bought some Man United cards and that kind of backfired. But what can you do?
So one of the lineups that you hit on recently, first in Premier League in season Division 1. This doesn't feel like best of the rest to me.
That isn't best of the rest. So there's a bit of context to that. So I did a brand deal with Sorare a little while ago, and they gave me an option of being paid a certain amount or being paid a lesser amount and getting some in-game credits. So I asked for the lesser amount in in-game credits and used those credits to buy Van Dijk and Salah. Well, I bought Salah a while ago. I bought Van Dijk and Gravenberch actually. So that's how that lineup came about. Just because I happened to have Van Dijk. I had Salah from ages ago anyway, but I happen to have Van Dijk from those credits. So, but the best of the rest is mainly actually like the sort of the. I think I came first in Div 2 Premier League and that's when I won Alisson, and I had in that lineup I had like Tielemans and Watkins and maybe Leif Davies was in that lineup. I can't remember. And Jordan Pickfords and Hendersons. Those are the kind of cards that I'm like honing in on and trying to hoard a little bit for this season to try and smash in those game weeks. And I'm not getting the lineups right every week. That game week just gone was a huge game week, but I could have done even better. Pickford dropping 100 points. I had the big scorers in other lineups. I just didn't get it right that week with the other lineups I had. I could have maybe won a couple of divisions that week. And funnily enough, although it pains me to say it, Man United are becoming a best of the rest kind of team as well. We're sadly becoming one of those teams where we're not a smasher unless we're playing a Southampton or a Ipswich or a, whatever team we're playing that specific week.
Sure. So I feel like one of the other major changes that you made, because obviously going from a gallery that primarily focused on like All-Star to just the Premier League is a very different way to play Sorare in that I think a lot of people appreciate Sorare in terms of, it lets me learn other leagues. And I feel like a lot of the content that you did over the years was kind of about that, knowing immediately who like Lars Unnerstall is and stuff like that. And you're going from that to not saying, I'm going to get rid of all of my old cards and buy in season of those guys, but focusing specifically on the league that you know the best and staying there. How did you decide to do that?
I kind of all I can do is realistically at the moment is watch the Premier League or MLS in a comfortable environment. That's kind of why I picked that. I will buy MLS cards when they come out because I love the MLS over the summer. It's one of my favorite things. But basically, it was mainly just I did like the aspect of playing other leagues and stuff. But the main two reasons were I can watch Premier League comfortably on my sofa, on TV, enjoy every game. The best possible experience without having to be sat there on a 480p stream on Bet365 watching it, hoping to see is that my player? I can't tell, it's too pixelated. It looks like my player. Oh no, it's not. It's not even the right team. So there was that, and then also the other thing was Essence. I knew if I built an entire Premier League gallery, I would only win Premier League Essence, and I think the crafts for Premier League are just a bit more valuable than a contender craft or a challenger craft. I didn't want to mix essence whatsoever. I wanted to have just Premier League essence and then craft just Premier League players.
And do you see yourself, other than MLS, do you see yourself just staying in there as opposed to branching a champion or?
No, I don't think I will. I think, unfortunately, I don't think there is a big enough incentive to branch your galleries out anymore. I actually think you're better off with in my opinion, obviously, like, people have different opinions, but in my opinion, if you win money, you win cash, rather than, going and buying another goalkeeper and making another lineup. I actually prefer just buying a better player and upgrading a lineup and then keeping the other player for depth or selling the other player, rather than I used to be a quantity over quality guy, but now I just think it's about quality and just buying better players and having the depth and stuff.
So I can't remember if that episode was in September when you guys had Nep on. I don't know. At the time, you had just won something recently, and you were talking about how all of your winnings, you were withdrawing all of your cash winnings, but any card wins, you were either going to keep the card, or if you sold the card, you would keep that in house. Is that still your plan?
Kind of. I've withdrew all the cash that I've won, bar about £100 that I used to buy a couple of players recently, just because I needed to fill a couple gaps. But apart from that, yeah, I've pretty much withdrew everything. I've actually withdrew more than what my gallery was worth when I made the switch, kind of thing. So, and my gallery's up now from what it was worth as well.
Right.
Because I think I don't know if it's because the crypto stuff has made valuations go up on Sorare, or if it's because now they've slowed down auctions, cards are becoming a little bit less liquid and the price is going up. But my gallery was worth about £3,300 ish. Then I won Allison on top of that, to take it up to like £3,800. And I've withdrew over £3,300, which is what I put in. So yeah, I'm up at the moment, which is nice.
That's awesome. Are you enjoying it?
Can't afford a good fucking connection though. I don't know what's going on with my camera. It's pissing me off, man. So annoying. I don't know why it's doing this.
I don't know if it's the camera, but there's like actually, I guess everybody doesn't see it, but I can see like internet bars, pretty much.
Bars.
And those are what goes
weird.
up. But anyway,
I'm downloading something by accident.
Are you enjoying the game?
I'm enjoying it a lot more, and I know why. Like, there are a couple of reasons why I'm enjoying it a lot more. I wasn't enjoying it huge amounts when United were crap, and a large portion of my gallery is United. Wasn't massively fun, but the two things I'm enjoying a lot more. First of all, the amount I have into Sorare right now is a lot more comfortable. I think a lot of people are falling victim to having an uncomfortable amount in Sorare, or having an uncomfortable realized loss in Sorare, or unrealized, whichever one it was where you've not withdrawn it. I think too many people have too much of an uncomfortable amount of money either in Sorare or lost, and I think that leads to dissatisfaction a lot of the time. Seeing valuations go down, it makes people freak out and that sort of stuff. So if my gallery went to zero tomorrow, would not bother me at all. It would bother me. It wouldn't, I wouldn't be crying over it. It'd be like, oh, that's shit, but whatever. You know what I mean? Whereas back when my gallery was worth like 10, 15 times this amount, I'd have been like crying on the floor and whatever, you know? So that's one thing that I think definitely is making my gameplay a lot more enjoyable. I'm enjoying the game a lot more. And I think the other thing that I'm enjoying is the fact that Man City and Arsenal are just shit this year. So it's nice. They're not sweeping up all the rewards every week. Mm-hmm. You know, Nep's not top unlimited every week and crap. You know what I mean? Like, no offense, Nep, I love you and I want you to do well, but like, I'm kind of glad that they suck.
I do think there absolutely is some of that of people who, and it may not have even been like how much they've deposited that is the problem, but at some point, like, it all adds up and you're just like, oh, this is actually a lot of money. And yeah, there are enough people who put in a lot more than what their cards are worth now. And if they're not kind of yielding from those cards, yeah, it becomes like a fairly negative experience. And then everybody starts yelling about ways to fix the game that makes their galleries worth more.
That's true. I think you did a show on Friday that I listened to, and I really resonated with the idea of looking at yield rather than value of cards. Like my in-season Bruno Fernandes card this year, I paid like £700 for. That card's worth like 500 now, but he has won, and not like the overall, just him himself. He has contributed to over £650 of rewards, and that's just like just in season and just him himself, without like all the other cards in the lineup. Like the total is even more than that. So it's like that's what I look at the moment. I don't care if it doesn't bother me the monetary value of my cards, because it's about what they can win that bothers me. Like if they can win back X amount, that's literally all I care about. And I do think too often people get engulfed in the monetary value. In reality, like there are so many cards on the platform now that you can win really good in-season cash from that aren't worth crap. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these rares are worth so little these days in comparison to what we used to 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure.
But they could probably win you more than what you could win 2 or 3 years ago. Like the ROI, especially the percentage of it, is way better now than it used to be.
Yeah, there are only a handful of cards on the platform, literally in each scarcity. And it in fact, it's limited. It's not even close. In rare, what is the most expensive rare now? Yamal?
I have no idea.
So he's like 1,200. So it applies to certainly limited and rare, however much you want to pay for super rares. But like you can pay back cards like that with 1 win.
Yeah.
And while that probably applied like back in the day, it was probably much harder to, because that was like you had to beat everybody. There were no divisions. There was no in-season and classic. Like you had to get this giant card. And it does feel like the way the game is set up now, you have more opportunities to like win your cash back. Whereas previously it was like, oh, I won this card. And it's almost like when you win the card, you get put in this weird spot of, oh, this makes my lineups better, I'll keep it, which then means you can't actually like directly yield from the cards that you use to win it. And so there's this, like, you just get, it's a hamster wheel, basically. You just keep going, keep going. And the move to these cash competitions allows you to be like, yeah, this is what I paid for the card. This is what I've yielded from it. And it's taken me until like literally the last like 2 weeks. Like I've been playing in season since basically the start of the European season. Like I didn't jump into it. And it wasn't until literally like a week or two ago where I was looking at cards to acquire and thinking very specifically of, can I make this money back? And previously, when we were just winning cards, it was like, oh, I have 10 years to figure that out. Like, don't worry about it. And now, like, the mental adjustment of, yeah, do I want to spend this much money because I need to like win this to get it back? And it's just changed how I look at every card on the platform now.
100%. I mean, back in the day, so Mbappe was always the one, right? It was always what you wanted to win. And Mbappe was as high as 25 grand at one point, the rare Mbappe. That was always the one you wanted to win. The thing is, even though Mbappe was like a 25 grand card, it was very rare people would have galleries worth less than that were constantly competing for that Mbappe. Whereas these days in Premier League, for example, the top prize pool is £2,270 or something like that. It's like $2,800, right? Yeah. It's rare to find a lineup worth more than that that's competing for that. I think it'd be very hard to make an entire Premier League rare lineup worth more than that amount. And if you did, you'd be competing for that amount weekly. And yes, it is obviously a lot less, and the jackpot aspect of it's not there anymore. But I think the ROI, the yield, I think is way, way better. And that's why, like, I just decided this season, I was like, with these prize pools and seeing the prize pool and seeing in Div 1, like, you can come like 10th and still win a couple $100. It's like, that's a lot of money. Like, especially when you're buying, I bought a Smith Rowe for like £60 or something, including I had like a credit as well from a box. But like for a £60 card, if I was to go next week in Div 1, finish like, I don't know, 11th place and get like a couple $100, like that pays off that card 3 times. You know what I mean? I just think, like, I see a lot of complaints online, and this is why I've been very quiet. I haven't been sat there tweeting about my strategy and telling everyone what I think they should do. I just let people complain now, and I just stay quiet, and I just like, I read everything. I'm always on my Sorare Twitter. I just don't really post that much anymore because I'm just quietly yielding, you know, and I think that's the best way to do it.
you guys actually made a comment about that on that ramble that it's like fresh in my head because I listened to it yesterday with Nep, that there are lots of people who are very outspoken on how Sorare needs to get fixed so that their gallery values come back. Excuse me. And there are a lot of people who are just quietly yielding every single game week, churning it out. And yeah, I think it's like the returns are, I don't want to say the returns are easier. The understanding how to return is easier than it's ever been. And I think that's a huge advantage to all Sorare managers that you're like, all right, this is what this costs. Do I want to pay that? And can I win it back? And it's very simple. I mean, it's November 20th, so it's very premature to think about this. But what is your plan for April and May when these cards become classic cards?
I haven't decided yet. I think there's a chance that maybe in like Jan Feb time, I take a big hit, clear out a lot of the cards. But it depends how it goes between now and then. If it goes really well and I continue yielding a good amount, maybe I don't sell them at all and I just run them in classic, or I keep maybe like 5 or 10 cards and run them in classic, because it's always nice having a big smasher as your one classic card in an in-season lineup, for example.
For sure.
So there's a chance to do that, or the chance I just keep it in classic, because it's very, very hard to win in classic. However, like, it is still possible. I have won a classic comp this year myself. I won Premier League D2. I won Allison from that.
Allison, right? Yeah.
And again, that was one of those game weeks where the big teams just didn't smash. I won that with 450 points, which is obviously a good amount of points, but it's nothing in comparison to what people do score. Like, I think I came 8th in the midweek with 510 points. So, like, you know what I mean? It's like 450 for first is crazy. So I definitely, like, I think I'll probably at least keep some cards. But I think between now and then, I'm intrigued to see what people do as well. I'm intrigued to see what I think. I'm interested to see how people react to the sort of February to April like decline, because the prize pools aren't getting smaller. But I'm wondering if the competition gets fewer because there'll be people selling some of their bigger cards to scrape back the little that they can get that's more than the classic version of those cards, for example. I'm wondering if there's just going to be less people playing in general because there'll be less auctions, so less people can get their hands on those cards. People who already own the cards. Yeah, I'm intrigued to sort of see how it plays out. And I think the next 3 or 4 months will dictate what I do. But I definitely want to go and buy MLS cards for the summer. I love MLS. I love like those late nights, like 2-3 a.m. LA Galaxy games, and I love it. Like, I'm a night owl, so I just love staying up. Like, me and Sean will just be like spamming each other on Discord about somebody doing really well, or you know what I mean. Like, I love it.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm really looking forward to is that kind of I'll even call it the last third of the season, because I feel like people underestimate how much time is left, or they overestimate how much time has already happened. But because, like, we're in November now and everyone's like, oh yeah, like third of the season is over. And it's like the Premier League, where they have 11 games that they've played so far. Is it even that many?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, 11 games they've played. And like, they play 38 of them. And obviously there's like a very condensed one basically next month. But like, there's so much of the season left. And to see the people like you who are like, yeah, I've already made my money back, and you have literally like 27 match days to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think that there's going to be a point where people are like, oh man, it's February already. I better sell, and not realize that there are probably still like 12, 13, 14 games left. That end of season, like, I'm like really curious to see how that plays out, because obviously the more people who sell out of that makes it fewer people who are competing for essentially the same prizes we're competing for right now.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's the way I look at it. So it doesn't matter if people think it's a good way or a bad way to look at it. But I'm not looking at the entire season, right? I'm looking game week by game week, in the sense that I can win half my gallery back at every game week. Now, from what it's worth right now, it's worth like, say, 4.3k, and that will become a higher percentage of the gallery as time goes on, because it will inevitably come down as we lose utility. But I can win £2,200 in Div 1 rare in season every single game week. I have other lineups I can win as well. I'm always chasing that. That is a huge amount of money to chase. If we have got 3 game weeks left of the season, I still have $6,000 to chase. It's like, so that I think like it will be interesting to see how people react to that. I'm not too bothered about like, oh, I'm going to get this card and I hope over the next 18 game weeks he's paid off. I'm like, this card I'm getting him because he could potentially win me a division. Like that's what, and very ambitious, but I think like that's the only reason why I want cards these days is to improve a lineup that I think is already really good. But I don't want to do that with like, I'm not doing that with like a Saka or like a Palmer. I'm doing that with like an Emil Smith Rowe or a Damsgaard. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that's really changed. And I think there will be some smashes that I do add to the gallery. I've got Salah, I've got Van Dijk, I've got Alisson because I won him. I've got the United boys; they're the best, obviously. But there will be some smashes that I do add to the gallery over now and then. But like I'm just always looking for that like next card that can win the next $2,000. Maybe it never happens again for the rest of the season, but you know, a man can hope.
Sure, you have to.
Exactly.
Like you can't go in thinking otherwise. Like why even play if you're not going to go in every week thinking, yeah, I'm going to win Division 1 this week. Do you have multiple Division 1 entries?
No, I don't, because I haven't mastered multiple lineups yet. Like I'm good at building one lineup, and then like I don't know why, but I'm never good at building the second lineup. I'm always bad at it. I've got my in seasons. I've got 1 D1 and 2 D2s, and like the lineups that I'm putting out this week, I think are pretty good. Like my D1 is like a 93 strength. My first D2 is like a 90 strength. The next one's like 80 something strength. So I'm hoping this can be the week where I potentially push up and get a second D1 lineup out there. But I actually don't mind it at the same time because you know, if I got insanely lucky one week and had 2 lineups absolutely pop off, I think it'd be sick to win 2 divisions. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
I've only done that once before, so.
Let me see. Do you actually win? Now I'm curious. If second place in Division 1, $2,000. First place, it's $1,300. All right, so you'd win more first and second in Division 1, but
you would,
yeah.
Okay, maybe. Well, you know, it's just like the double gold is still cool though. You know?
I agree.
Is it really only $1,300 for first?
$1,300 for Prem Division 2 this week. Yeah,
just sounds low.
It does sound low. Fifth place is $200.
Damn. D2 brokies, you know what I mean?
That's a killer. Did you plan on one lineup when you were like, I'm going Prem in season? Was it like, did you build, let me get one smasher and then go from there? Or was it actually trying to build 3?
I wanted to build 3. I want to hopefully end the season with 3 in season 3 classic, but it will probably end up being 3 in season, 3 classic, but the classic will be majority in season players because that's pretty much all I'm buying now. I'm not buying any classic cards anymore. But yeah, I actually originally started off with my goalies were Onana, Dean Henderson, who I still have, and Areola. But I sold Areola for Pickford, Pickford. A reason why I bought Pickford was actually mainly, obviously he's a good goalkeeper, I think, but also he gets the international utility. Yeah. And I just think in these random game weeks where I've got 5 players that are going to play, having a goalie is just, you know, it's a great asset to have. And Areola doesn't play for France, obviously. So, and then I won Alisson. So I've got Alisson now. So I've technically got 5 playing goalkeepers. So I just need 1 more. But I'm not going to buy that now until I have bought enough depth for the gallery where I can fill another lineup that's good enough to at least get boxes in classic.
The Alisson thing has totally thrown me off because listening to that episode of the Ramble that was from a few weeks ago, and you were talking about whether Alisson was going to be back from injury. And then I saw you had a tweet yesterday or today that was like, is Alisson back this weekend? And I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't that a month ago or 2 months ago? And it's totally thrown me off. But yeah. Do you think you get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to add any more quality, if that makes sense? Like, you're not going to get to a point where you're like, oh, I have all the best players, because you kind of said you didn't want to play that way.
Yeah.
But at some point, do you just stop adding players?
Potentially. I mean, that's a really awkward. I just saw that. That was terrible.
the
I know it keeps happening. It's pissing me off.
frames have been great.
I don't know what the issue is. It's like something's dropping out. There are plenty of game weeks where I don't buy anything. This game week just gone, I withdrew everything that I won. The first place D1, I withdrew everything that I won. Yeah. I think it was like a third play, not a third, like a D3 winnings that I spent on the two guys that I brought in recently. So I'm actually not buying stuff most game weeks. It's only when I think, okay, I've got, like, I looked at this upcoming game week, for example, the one fresh back from international break, and I saw that, like, I had Bruno Fernandes who's in a great spot. I had Tielemans who's in a great spot for Classic, and then I had no more midfielders in good spots. So I looked and I thought, right, Emil Smith-Rowe, they play against Wolves at home. That's a great spot. Damsgaard has got a couple of good matchups coming up, and he's already just doing very well for Brentford anyway in the role that he's in at the moment. So that's why I picked those two up, because they just filled the gaps that I kind of needed for the next couple of game weeks. But I don't, unless I get an injury or something like that, I probably won't buy anything now for a couple of weeks. And then when I do, what I've been doing recently is I've been looking at their upcoming matchups as well and being like, right, okay, I'm only going to get someone that fits in. Like, if Man United play against Ipswich this weekend, so they're in a great spot. So it makes sense to play Smith-Rowe with, a couple of Man United boys. But if United were playing City, for example, I'm not going to throw in someone with a good matchup with those guys. So there's no point buying him that game week. So yeah, that's kind of like what I've been doing. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if a spot opens up, then I'll probably bring someone in.
And so the recent essence change, like, well, I guess the you mentioned earlier that
Don't even get me started on that.
What's that?
Don't even get me started.
Well, we're definitely getting into it, but like well, you mentioned it, that you were like, part of the reason that you decided to play in season was because of the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And how much did that play? Like, would you have played in season even without the essence in boxes?
Yeah, for sure I would have. Yeah. The cash is a big one. But I think, like, I maybe wouldn't have looked to build as many lineups without the essence. I think the essence in the boxes, maybe if the essence was only classic, I'd have built out a couple of classic lineups by now and actually, like, tried to have good classic lineups to win essence frequently. But yeah, the fact it's an in-season, it just means that I can focus. I pretty much only buy, well, I literally only buy in-season cards now.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to buy classic cards to play classic for essence. But yeah, had it not been an in-season, had it only been in classic, then maybe the only thing I'd have done differently is probably maybe bought one or two classic lineups by now and played that as well. Because I do think is a big thing. Although I've not actually crafted anyone like really good from essence. Like, my best card was Sugawara, and he doesn't even play anymore. He was doing well. He's getting some good scores, but now he doesn't even play.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of filling up with a lot of, like, okay-ish players. Max Kilman, trying to think who else I won. Sugawara, Craig Dawson. These guys aren't huge smasher cards. Mario Lemina, they aren't huge smashers, but they're good enough to throw into a D3 in season if I get relegated, and they can potentially swing something back up, or I can put them into a D3 classic and potentially try and win a box out of there. Like, they're good enough just to have as, like, the bottom of the barrel depth.
So back to your gallery before you sold everything, because it was it wasn't like significantly spread out, but you had your Challenger Europe guys and all of that. Is there any part of you that, like, misses scouting those guys, or is
Absolutely.
it like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was a good riddance because I didn't actually want to do that.
No, I really miss it. I missed, like, what I really missed the most was kind of cooking up different different rare pro lineups, and, like, okay, this rare, he's got a great matchup, this super rare's got a great matchup, they're going to work well with this guy, like, and just it felt like there was skill to the game, like, mixing and matching and cooking up these different lineups, and then when it works, it just felt great. And it was annoying because I'd really figured out the formula that was working for me about 2 months before the fucking changes.
Yeah.
And I went on like a mad heater from like November to sort of February, where like I think I had like 3 or 4 first places, I had like 7 or 8 podiums, like I was smashing it for a while. And then obviously the changes came in, which sucks because I just shaped the gallery. I had that big Griezmann trade that I'd made that worked. That was like the plans were really falling in place. It was looking great. And then obviously, you know, Sorare sledgehammered the shit out of that. So.
Do you think there was some of that where they saw all of that success and they were like, we can't have this?
Yeah. Ryan can't be good at Sorare. Come on. I don't know. Like, but yeah, that's what I miss the most. I mean, scouting, like where my gallery was at, there wasn't really a huge need to scout because I needed good scorers, and everyone really knows the good scorers. There isn't someone that scores really well that goes under the radar these days. The only way they do that is somebody that's maybe in bad form or injured or something like that. It's like the only, like, you know what I mean? The only ones that really go under the radar. But like nowadays, someone that's an absolute smasher. But like I did miss kind of just putting pieces together. I miss like, oh, you know, this goalie, you know, his defender also is an AA monster. Let's just pick them both up and let's run a rare Unastole with a super rare Smell and sort of cook there. You know what I mean? So I do miss that a lot. And I miss the like what I felt was like a skill element to it, which is why I'm trying to. I get that feeling a bit now with the sort of the best of the rest kind of thing that I'm doing, like because it's like I'm trying to pair these lineups up with other cards that maybe people aren't pairing together. I'm trying to think, okay, maybe people aren't playing Mazraoui, Bruno with Van Dijk and Salah. So if they all pop off, then, you know, I'd probably be the only person that has that lineup. Whereas a lot of people are probably playing, you know, those guys with, or they may be playing like Kelleher with Van Dijk, and they're maybe playing like McAllister with Salah, and you know what I mean? So I'm trying my best to like pick different cards out and put them in different lineups. Like I had a lineup do well because I had Leif Davies in there who scored like 100 points that week, and like he was like the only defender that had scored that high or something. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. And it does give me that a little bit of that satisfaction. It's not the same though.
And you're doing all of this without building out collections other than the Man United one?
Yeah, there's some that I've accidentally built out a little bit. I've got Dwight McNeil, Pickford, and somebody else from Everton. So it's given me an extra little percentage there. Same with some Wolves players. I crafted 2 Wolves players just by chance. So I've got like a bit of an extra percentage there. I'm trying to think. Alisson and Van Dijk. Alisson being a reward, Van Dijk being first owner off the market. Like that's given me a bit of a percentage there in Liverpool. So I've accidentally done it a little bit, but not deliberately. Bar United, I haven't been too bothered about building the collections. I feel like collections are a bit more important in limited. Whereas in rare, like if for example Arsenal win 5-0, doesn't matter, I'm fucked anyway. But if it works in my favor, I'm hoping that an extra percentage isn't the be all end all. Obviously, it'll feel shit that game week where you know, having a £18 rare would have given me the percentage I need to win an extra few hundred or whatever. But like, I'm just hoping that people haven't built the same lineup as me. You know, I'm trying to like think outside the box a little bit.
How often do you look at leaderboards as opposed to like just your spot there?
I only look if I'm in a position to potentially podium or win. That's the only time I look.
Like you were saying, like, oh, if I just bought that £18 rare, like I don't even look. Like I see on my lineups like how many points I am from like the next reward, but the whole idea of just going through how short was I, what could I have done, like I just can't put myself through that at all.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I don't. Yeah, I only look if I'm like in a good position to actually win. I looked like I had a decent midweek, or it was looking like a decent midweek for it until it wasn't. Like until I dropped down about 8 places on the Tuesday. But there was actually a few people that had a very similar lineup to me on that week, which I was quite surprised at. Like I ran like Isak, Bruno, Van Dijk, and Pickford. And there was one where like the differential there was Mark Gahey, who scored like 6 points more than Van Dijk. So that was obviously they played that better than I did, for example. So that's when I'll look, because I was in third place for a while. And then when I dropped down to seventh, I was like, I just checked because I was so surprised. But yeah, so that's the time I look at the leaderboards. Other than that, like, I don't look that much. The only I will say that lineup was a poor captain choice for me in the end. Although I wasn't ready to know that. I didn't think there was no indication Isak was scoring 100 points in that. You know what I mean? Pedro Neto might have been a good captain choice, to be fair, but aside from that, like, I wouldn't have captained Van Dijk.
I think you did. I think you had the right call.
Yeah, just unlucky. He had a big chance missed as well. Could have been like a 90-odd pointer.
So when you get to the point where you have 3 rare in-season lineups in the Prem, and you're like, I could really do a little more. Do you go to limited or super rare, or neither?
I just build out classic at that point with in-season cards. I think there is no real incentive for super rare. Personally, I just don't think. I think the market is just weird. It's just strange. I think you can either find great value or it's impossible to buy a card you want, and there's like no in between. I think that like the divisions themselves are also very weird because you find a lot more lineups in super rare that you look at and think, why have you played that? And then it's gone and smashed and won first place. Like, people, but it's because that's all they have to play. Whereas in rare, it's a bit more like, it's a bit more affordable for a lot of people. So they'll go obvious choices more than, like, people can't really afford a super rare Bruno, but they can afford a super rare Pablo Sarabia, and all of a sudden he's just whacked 100 points for some reason. You know what I mean? So like, and he's pushed you out of a spot because why the fuck have you got Pablo Sarabia? Right. Yeah. So like with limited, I've thought about it so many times, and I've almost bought limiteds so many times, and then I don't, for a couple of reasons. Main one is I think it just doesn't appeal to me to work from Div 5 upwards, because I think, like, especially if I went and bought, I would only buy like smashers. It would pain me if I went and bought, like, I don't know, Palmer, Saka, Bruno, like Gvardiol and that, right? And I have 2 or 3 game weeks in a row of them getting 500 points. And then when I'm finally in a division where I can actually win some cash, it's like they drop like 340 and I'm relegated again. You know what I mean? Or, yeah, it would just hurt. And also, I think it's a lot more competitive. I don't want to have to go and buy 30, 40 different players to get a competitive percentage on my cards as well. So I'm just not that bothered. I'd rather just have, like, I don't mind not playing players at the moment. I'm quite happy to just have like a few players that just don't play. If I had, like, I can build a sixth lineup anyway if I want it out and bought a keeper. So if it gets too much, I will just do that and build another classic lineup. But until then, I don't mind not playing a couple of cards, to be honest.
It's like Sorare blasphemy.
Yeah, I know. It's the opposite of what I used to be. I used to literally go out and buy cards just to make an extra lineup if I had players. Like, but no, I don't mind it. I just want to be building the best possible lineups, really.
Mike was asking why you don't move to champ as opposed to classic Prem. Is the reason because you don't want non-Prem cards?
I don't want to dilute my essence. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, at least with Premier League, I have that safety net of knowing I am going to be able to play. Like, we don't get random Premier League games as a one-off on a Thursday, for example, or whatever. Like, we get a midweek slate. So I will be able to play Premier League midweek with all 20 teams playing on a midweek slate. I don't know if it'll affect, I don't know if the prize pool will be lower or higher if we have a midweek Premier League slate. But like, when we have those random ones where it's maybe around Christmas time and they play a midweek slate, for example, I know the comp will be open. I know all my players are going to play. And I know that there will be cash. There'll be a good amount of prize money available to win. Whereas if I went out and I bought some decent champion cards to like put some Prem cards in champion and flirt with that a little bit, I think it would be really annoying then if I have 3/4 of a lineup outfield and no goalkeeper, or I have, like, you know what I mean? I have like 1 or 2 players that are playing or not playing, and yeah, it'd be a bit of a ball ache. I had that a lot when I had my old gallery. I used to have a lot of different scenarios where I'd have to go and buy a card because like people just didn't line up very well and stuff.
Yeah, and you can't. Yeah, the other pieces, the opportunity was too big to not play them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you miss winning cards?
A little bit. I kind of get that. Like, I just rip 20 essence every time I get the opportunity. Every time I'm at 20 essence, I rip it. So, like, I kind of get that dopamine from that. Like, the essence crafts are my kind of card winning dopamine. I do miss winning cards a little bit. I think the fun thing was on a Tuesday and a Friday, getting up to the rewards time and not knowing what you were winning was kind of fun. Whereas, like, you know how much cash you're winning. But I mean, the most expensive card, if it's Yamal, he's like £950. I mean, like, if you've come first place, it's like $2,000. You know what I mean? It's the difference is night and day. Like, I'm more happy winning double the amount and just having the cash. I also just like, it feels safer, which is not a shot at Sorare. I don't ever think for a second randomly Sorare will just collapse one day or anything like that. Like, it's a multi-bit, like, they're worth billions in terms of their net valuation or whatever. It's like or whatever the investors have bought in at. It was something stupid, like insane amount of money. It wouldn't just go like that. Although people think with this no card entry and stuff, it's just going to randomly implode. I assure you it won't. But there is a safe feeling when you win cash, click withdraw, and within an hour it's hit your bank account. That just feels better than having a card that maybe next week could rupture his ACL and all of a sudden your card is worth 1/10 of what he was worth when you won it. Alisson's a great example. When I won Alisson, he was worth like £800. He got injured the week after and he went down to like 450, 500, which is still a lot of money, but like, you know, it's like a 50% deficit.
Sure. Well, or the people that like won or bought Rodri early on, or Ter Stegen, or
Nepenthes.
Oh yeah, literally
both of those. I'm pretty sure Nep at one point had like bought 4 keepers, and they were all. I think he had 2 Ter Stegens, 2 Alissons, and they were just all injured.
And Raya.
And David Raya, yeah. Unlucky Nep.
Maybe that's a little hedge game we can play. Whoever Nep buys, we know who's coming next.
Yeah, sucks to suck, bozo.
So do you see yourself ever getting bored with this?
Yeah. 3, 4, 5 bad weeks in a row gets hella boring. It's like gambling, really. Like, if you're not winning for a while, you know, the dopamine's gone. Like, it's not fun at all. And then it all comes back when you have that big win again. And I think there's a huge amount of luck that plays into. I think Sorare is like, I'd actually argue Sorare is probably 90% luck, because you can't control what the hell happens on that pitch. Yeah, your lineups might make sense, but like, you're not taking the shot from 5 yards out. Like, so you can't guarantee your player scores an easy chance, or he misses a big chance miss, gets hooked at half time, and your lineup's dead. So like, there's so much luck that's involved in it. If the luck doesn't go your way for a few weeks, like when United have been awful this season, the only 2 games we've won comfortably this season, we've won them both 3-0 against Leicester and against Southampton, are the 2 first places that I've had this season, because I've had it with United cards. In between those, we've had some pretty poor game weeks. We've had some okay ones, but we've had like 2-3 game week runs where I've been rubbish, and it gets really, really boring, especially when you're watching a team you love suck, and then you log on to Sorare data and your lineups also suck. It's like the double whammy. It's awful. So yeah, I can definitely see myself getting bored. But I think the fact that I've paid off my gallery in the last like couple months already, I don't see myself getting bored enough to be like, right, let me withdraw this money and do something different. You know, I'm just gonna keep playing, because again, it just takes 1 game week and you're back again. You know,
I think one of the big luck things that a lot of people just kind of overlooked for a long time was, I think everybody realized you need a lot of luck for all of your players to like perform really well and to get to the top of the leaderboard. Then you need another significant amount of luck if you happen to win a star to get the top one and not the bottom one, or the one that just got hurt, or the one that got hurt 2 weeks ago, and so he's still in the prize pool. Now he's just a DNP reward. And that luck factor has been removed now with cash, because you're just like, you don't need to worry about that part, because you know what you're going to win. Is it just as exciting? No. Were we usually excited? No. We were usually pissed about the cards that we won. Every so often you get one that you loved and you're like, oh, this is why I love this game. But it's like, yes, there's some excitement gone, but the amount of like disappointment that people get when they open cards is massive every single game week. And yet in the with cash, you're just like, oh, I know what I'm getting. Yes, the high's not as high, but there is no low because
that's very
you
true.
Can't mess up the cash.
That is very well. Let's be careful. Because, like, you know, you might come first place, and rather than 2,200, you might win $2.20 for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't put it past them. And then you'll email support, and they're like, "Nah, I think we got it right.
I think we got it right. Yeah,
I think that's right. No, like the decimal place should be there." No, you are right though, and because I've been ripping these tier 5 20 essence crafts, I've not been disappointed with any card I've won from that either because it's a tier 5 craft. So the only card reward that I've won this year is Allison, and I was very happy with that. But I know I have been disappointed in the past multiple times with some really dog shit reward for a high place. I mean, that super rare Suarez was gut wrenching, winning a super rare super rare, and it being, you know, no knees Suarez over there, no knees Norris as I like to call him. Yeah,
who was also not in the prize pool until he
exactly. Yeah, that was the worst part about it. I forgot about that shit. Yeah,
sorry.
So they pull some shenanigans, man. They really do. So it does eliminate that agony factor on a Tuesday and a Friday.
That was like one of the first things that Sean said about ripping Essence, and he was like, the reason you should craft at the lowest threshold at T5 plus is because you can be disappointed at tier 1, you know, at the highest threshold. Hey, 50% star, and you get like the lowest tier 1. You're basically winning like a tier 2 after saving Essence forever. If you just rip a tier 5, like the expectations are as low as possible. So anything you get, you're like, you happen to get somebody you've heard of who plays in a country, you know where it is, and you're just like, hey, that's great. Like, it's all upside there. And while you don't have that like upside competing for cash in like the emotional upside there, but like, you know what you're getting.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Although I will say, right, just quickly, I'm not throwing accusations around, but Nepenthes somehow crafted Haaland from a tier 5, Joey Veerman from a tier 5, Buscagli from a tier 5. That's not a fucking coincidence.
So I actually think the worst part about it is how he's like, but I get all these bad ones. And it's like, we don't care.
Where are they? Where are those bad ones? I haven't seen you craft a single bad one, mate. I ain't seen a single bad one. I'm seeing you wait 4 game weeks to get 20 essence, and all of a sudden, oh, I've got a Haaland in my gallery now. Yeah, interesting.
Oh, Bruno Gino also.
He crafted Bruno Guimaraes. Right, okay. And there was another YouTuber that just happened to win 2 Kimmiches from the fucking the preseason event where you oh yeah, okay. Where's my shit? Oh, thanks for the Sugawara. He didn't even fucking play anymore, mate. Oh shit, Craig Dawson. He's worth like £8. Great. The annoying thing is I'm actually kind of happy with these guys as well, because I actually, like, every now and then I get one of those cards and it's like he does slip into a really low level lineup. But like, come on, man. Who did I craft you with? All right, I crafted Mark Gu from Chelsea. And I saw it was a, like, you kind of want in between the 60s and 70s is your craft number in rare, because that means that they've sold a lot of them and it's probably a decent card, right? So I saw he was like 64 out of 100. I got really excited. I saw Spanish, very excited. This guy's worth like a tenner. Bro, just be fucking David Raya. I've earned it.
I had the exact same experience when I crafted. I think I waited until tier 3. I don't think I waited till 2, but it was like Zagreb midfielder, and I was like, wow, Baturina, like, that's really cool. And it was Joseph Misic, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Pain. I'd like to apologize, by the way. I know the camera has just been flickering in and out. I have no idea why. I wish I could fix it. It's annoying me as much as it must be annoying the viewers at home. I do apologize, guys.
I would guess most people just listen to us anyway.
Hopefully.
Hasn't been a very visual show, other than our good-looking faces here that occasionally just go like this.
Debatable.
Anyway.
For me, not for you. For me. Debatable from my side.
Oh, I don't think it was 3 Kimmiches. I think it was 2 Kimmiches and an Amiri.
whatever it was, it's out of fucking order. That's what it is.
It
I didn't
felt a
get any.
little. I'm just jealous. Like I don't get these content creator magic pulls.
The funny thing is, right? A funny story, right? Is I don't get these content creator magic pulls either. A few years ago, back when was it Sorare Mega was like the external game.
Mm-hmm.
So I won Sorare Mega one week, and I won a Lucas Hoyos goalkeeper card. He was worth like £400 at the time. It was years ago. Like, you know. Anyway,
the absurdity of this game in one sentence was right there.
But like that was a good reward because Sorare
Mm-hmm.
Mega, you didn't always win like a great card, but like a £400 card, I was very happy with that. Anyway, a week later, by accident, they put another Lucas Hoyos in my account. I think they glitched out and repaid the last week's rewards. Me being the honest person that I am, I actually DM'd Nicholas and I told him what happened and gave it back.
Wow.
So I feel like a Haaland would be the least you could do. Because if you think about compound interest, what that Hoyos is worth now in terms of £400 back then, and ETH going up, and Bitcoin, and you know all that sort of stuff, I feel like a super rare Haaland would be quite nicely received at the moment. But I don't know.
Do you know what a Hoyos goes for now?
Like $3.
The last sale was 26.
Damn, he's actually kind of high up. I reckon I was one of the last sales, to be honest.
Although he was like $8 before that. I don't know why.
Oh, it's because he's got his place back again. Newell's old boys do this random shit where like, oh, Macagno 0 points, error led to goal in the game before that. So yeah, I see that. That's one of those, man. You've well and truly lost your spot there as well. That's when you get super excited when you have a Hoyos in your gallery. Macagno just absolutely like stinking the gaff up. I actually, to be fair, Hoyos and Velasquez, that combo won me a good amount.
I was gonna say that was definitely a
Last
classic Haber combo.
Last summer, I missed that. Last summer was like prime time because I remember we had Rare Pro, we had All Star still, so like I could play. I remember playing Hoyos and Velasquez in the same lineup as like people that had, I think, a Premier League game or something like that, or there was some kind of game anyway. I can't remember who it was that played, but I remember coming second in like All Star Rare Pro. That lineup was vibes, man. I need to actually go find that now. Oh, now I'm sad.
James said, so you're saying the 469 essence I've saved I should send in T5s? You can't.
Cool,
can't even do it if you wanted to. Now you got to wait.
Like you should be able to do that.
Nep certainly thinks so. Yemi said it was 3 Kimmiches and an Amiri. Jesus.
Damn. I'm looking forward to. Actually, sorry, randomly off. Just can't believe Vito Van Crooij's back in the Eredivisie, absolutely killing it as well.
Smashing, yeah. No new season cards though.
My boy, that's a card that I won a decent amount with. I remember. Well, I don't know if it was a decent amount. I remember a podium in Cap T40 though.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't minted his card yet.
Damn, he's
Tom Hay, also another Eredivisie guy they haven't gotten.
It goes to show that players can come back from Saudi. You know,
Harper Way certainly is hoping so.
Is he the one that's like build out an entire lineup? Like, did he get like unique or Aubameyang or something like that? Or was that somebody else?
That's what he got. Yep.
Yeah.
Aubameyang. Yeah.
Damn.
I'm not sure Aubameyang gets any better coming back to Europe though.
You never know.
You're right. I don't actually know. How old is he now? 36? 35? Oh, he's young, I guess. Is there anything you wanted to touch on that we haven't yet?
What is this no card entry nonsense, by the way? I don't actually know what it is. I just people are freaking out about it.
So it is a group of people who are freaking out about somebody winning cards that they're not competing for ever, is how I described it. But the no card entry is a contest available to anyone in the UK and France where you can email Sorare 45 minutes before the deadline and get a free lineup. And you can, so it assigns you 5 cards and tells you what competition that you are entered in. and it's basically like a ghost leaderboard. And wherever you would have finished on the real leaderboard, you get a comparable reward. And so apparently you can reply to the email and discard certain cards in the lineup and tell it where to enter. And people have been winning uniques from this free competition. If you enter a pro lineup, you are ineligible for the whatever it's called email.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So there's one user who won like 4 or 5 uniques. Jose Sa was the most recent one, and has been selling them for thousands of dollars, well, hundreds of dollars, cumulatively thousands of dollars, and everybody's getting very upset about it. Even though they don't compete for uniques at all. But I don't know which rare or limited cards have been rewarded through this no cost entry thing.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that if you can't enter it if you have a pro lineup, it's not that big a deal, realistically.
Well, there are a bunch of people who are basically saying that they're better off doing that instead of playing their pro lineups because their pro cards are so bad.
I suppose. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it's anywhere near as big a deal as what people have made it out to me anyway.
I mean, it's so rare. Everything's a big deal if it is potentially negative to somebody else.
Gosh, you know how bliss it is not like posting as much and stuff like that. Oh my God, it's so nice. God, there's just so many people, right? Like, and I'd probably offend people. I don't actually care. But there's so many people that just fucking freak out about everything without actually knowing what it means. And then they go and they push their freak out to everybody they know. But also, like, half the time, these people, like, don't actually know what they're talking about. And then, like, half the time, it's not even that. It's like Sorare have put an announcement out as well, and they freak out about it. And, like, I always check as well, and it's always the people that have got dog shit galleries, dog shit cards, right? Like, it's never anyone that's actually doing anything good on the game as well. And it just pisses me off. And the fact that I now no longer post much and don't have to deal with these idiots just freaking out about everything, do you know how much better my life is?
So all of that is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because no, I'm dead serious about this. So recently I realized that the content specifically on this channel, or that I was talking about, was a lot of the, not even reminiscing about like what Sorare was, but like there was too much focus on like, how do we get back to what we were doing, even though we were never going to be able to do that. And I have been trying to change direction and more like, how do we actually play this game? And if we want to play this game, and let's talk to people who want to play this game and hear from people who are playing this game effectively and are having fun. And you were somebody who, as you said, like yourself, when all the changes happened, like you didn't do anything and you were just like struggling with it, and you started fresh and you found a way that you wanted to play the game and you're killing it. And I was like, that's exactly who I want to talk to.
Yeah. If I could give advice to people, right? This is all a lot easier said than done, because there's a lot of money that's been invested, a lot of money that's been lost, a lot of money. I totally appreciate that not everybody can afford to take a huge loss on their gallery and then try and do something again, right? I totally appreciate that not everyone can afford to sell their cards for cheap or whatever. But here's a few bits of advice I'll give you, right? First of all, if you can cut out the emotion of your cards, do it. Do not try and not to get emotionally attached to these JPEGs. Laird, this does not apply to you, because I've seen your gallery, right? But this is the people that maybe feel stuck or feel lost in Sorare, because I think that there are multiple ways to play this game. And I think if you're someone that plays it like Quinny or like yourself, that actually enjoys owning these collections as well and having that emotional attachment, that doesn't apply to you. But to the other people that feel lost or whatever, if you can cut your losses, cut the emotion out of the game, right, and start again, I would say to do that, right? I would say to focus in season every season. Classic is great to have, and I think that for specials and for stuff like that is great, but I think that it's just not the optimal way to play this game, given the fact that your competition in season versus classic is like 4-1 or 5-1. Like you're competing against 4 or 5x the amount of cards sometimes in Classic as you are in season of the same card as well. So if you have a week where Man City pop off and there's 5 players that get 100 points in there, like in season, you might find in Div 1 and Div 2, you might have 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with the same lineup that kill it at the top 5 or 6, or even more than that, right? In Classic, that might be 20 people because of how many more cards there are. So that's the first thing I would say, to focus on in season if you want to try and get some success back into Sorare. The other thing I would do, I think a lot of people get hell-bent on this idea that the last sale is the value of your card, and it isn't. But that doesn't mean it's not cheaper. It doesn't mean it's not more expensive. It's about demand, and I'm so bored of seeing people saying that they can't sell their cards. It's because you look at one dot on a graph and you list your card for the exact same as that dot. That's why it's not selling. I sold my gallery incredibly easily because what I did was, if something wasn't selling what I was putting it at, I lowered it because there is no demand for the card at that price. That is simply how economics work. So I lowered the card until I found demand and I understood that, okay, this card wasn't worth what I thought it was. I'm going to have to take the L here of however much it is, because that's how I sold the card. Now, if you want to sit and hold the card for whatever time because you think it's worth this much, that's on you. Your prerogative, you do that. But don't bitch and moan on Twitter that you can't sell a card because you think that a dot on a graph is how much that card's worth, because it isn't. That is not how it works. So yeah, if you're lost or you're stuck on Sorare, because I get a lot of people say this to me, and I know there's someone on Discord that messaged me about it as well. If you're lost and you're stuck on Sorare, what I did was I started again. I sold everything. I cut all the emotional attachment I had to all those cards. I sold all my cards, bar the cards that I knew fit into what I wanted to do. I also went and I sold the cards based on demand rather than last sales. And a lot of the cards were near to the last sales. It wasn't just like I wasn't taking huge hits on every card, but so there were some cards that just would not sell. So I kept lowering it until they did sell. And that's how I got them to sell, because that's how it works. And then I formulated an idea and a plan, and I stuck to it. And I didn't just go in, okay, this shiny card now has my attention, let me go buy that. I stuck to the plan that I had. I stuck to the idea. I stuck to what I wanted to do. And it's worked all right for me, but it took a lot of luck. But just like, you don't have to take any of my advice, but like, get fucking self-aware. If you've got a gallery full of cards that won stuff 3 years ago, but aren't winning stuff now, it's maybe because the game's moved on and the cards aren't good enough anymore. But like, bitching and moaning that it's Sorare's fault or whatever, like, if you're not proactive, it's your own fault. And I realized it was my own fault, and that's why I made changes, because I didn't make changes for like 3 updates that happened. And like there was that update. Before that, like, I remember building a huge champion team like 2 years ago, and I could have sold that team for like a 15 grand profit, and I didn't take it. And what a silly mistake that was, because I was thinking I'm going to go ahead and win 3 Mbappes that season.
Sure, of course.
And that I ended up selling that team for like a 15 grand loss, maybe more than that. You know what I mean? So like that's another mistake I've made. But like, learning from the mistakes is the most important thing. So you don't have to take my advice, but like, appreciate that you're probably at fault if things go wrong. It's probably not Sorare's fault. Unless you get super unlucky and you get an injury or something, it's probably your own fault for not understanding trends or not realizing something, or thinking the game's something that it's not, or getting hell-bent on, I have to make this gallery work because it's been here for 3 years and I've built it for 3 years. You don't have to make your stale, stagnant gallery work. You can just start again, right? Like, it's possible. So I mean, it's a harsh and blunt way of saying it, but maybe it's a reality check for some. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of my advice.
Well, Philly Dilly says here, the thing is, you've already taken a loss on your gallery. You just haven't acknowledged it yet. Like, if you're like, my cards are worth so much less, I can't sell them for less now. And it's like, well, that's what they're worth now. So like, yeah, the loss has already happened.
Bought my rare Kimmich for, I want to say it was £12,000, and I sold him for like 400. Oh well. He won me some stuff. I had some fun. It was one of my favorite cards in my gallery for a long time. I still watch buying, and you know, I miss having Kimmich, and maybe one day I'll go back to champion and I'll go get Kimmich again. But I took the L. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and moved on from it, you know.
And now you're
Sucks.
having like crazy success with what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, congrats on your success and thanks for coming on.
Thank you, lad. And congrats on your 10K steps a day. I was keeping up with that. You still doing it?
So
that's no.
It not only is it a no, not only is it a no, the first day after I stopped it. And there was a little bit of me that was like, at some point it's going to be not like overwhelming, but it's going to take over. And I didn't want that to happen. So I got like 7,000 one day. I was just like, that's it. I'm done. But then I did it 2 more days and my kids were like, your streak is over. And I'm like, well, I now have a streak of fewer than 10,000 steps. And I had to end that yesterday. So I started a new streak yesterday.
Fair enough.
But I'm only at 5,200 today.
Oh, you got that. It's only like,
it's only 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's only 3 o'clock, right? You're good. It's 8 p.m. over here, you know, like could be worse.
Could be.
If anything happens,
8 p.m. here,
I'll let you know though.
Yeah.
Being 5 hours in front.
Thank you everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. Haber, it was great hearing from you directly, or talking to you directly. And yeah, man, good luck with making even more money, because that's all we do now.
Thank you. And if maybe one day I'll sell my gallery and be like, that Haber guy was stupid, you know?
No, I think you're coming out on the winning side here. I do.
Hopefully.
Anyway,
fingers crossed.
Thank you to everybody. Don't forget to get those steps in, even though I've already forgotten a couple days already.